What's up everybody, Chibi, and today I'm going to be doing an anime review on Aldnoah.Zero episode 4. Now, I want to say a couple things real quick, okay? So, last week I missed the ending portion of the episode. For instance, I saw the ending song and then I quit out of the episode and I did not get to see that entire moment with Slane killing his commanding officer, which right there was just like, whoa! That was really freaking good. So, I just want to say I'm sorry about missing that, and I've learned my lesson. Just continue on and watch after the ending song. That's one thing I hate about anime nowadays, because they always put one of the beefiest parts at the end of the episode, right after the ED, where everybody pretty much stops watching the episode. So that kind of makes me upset how I kind of missed that the first time around, and I didn't realize it until after I made my review, and I'm like, shit, I'm not gonna remake my review. So anyways, talking about this episode, Aldnoah gets that character development. Really, he does. He's still that emotionless main male character, and honestly, I can't really call him the main character since we have so many other characters in the spotlight at the moment. But so far, he did get a little bit of development in this episode, which I appreciate a lot. For instance, the main development we got on him this episode is how smart he really is. He's a very intelligent character. He's very calm, and he looks ahead, he figures out what the enemy can do, the weaknesses of his enemy. For instance, in this episode, when he gets inside the mech, or the Cultiflaka, whatever you want to call it, I'm just going to call it a fucking mech, okay, because I don't want to butcher that name. Anyways, the mech that Aldnoah gets in, and he starts to shoot the gun at the Mars Knight, you clearly see that he starts messing around with different ammo and different rounds, which is really interesting, because that is something that really shows off his character. For instance, he loves testing things. For instance, he tested multiple different rounds against this Mars Knight to see what would work or not, and it shows you his level of intelligence. So I am really, shocked to find out how, calm he is as a character. Now, one thing, though, I will say is this episode was entertaining. It could probably bore a couple of people, but honestly, I like this episode a lot better than last week's episode. The reason why is because it gave that entire feel of humanity is losing. That's exactly what this episode gave, because, I mean, you see how all these freaking cities are getting fucking blown up, destroyed. You see how these Martians or whatever coming in, they're taking over all of Earth. I mean, really, it seems like humanity is pretty much fucked at this moment, since everything's being jammed and stuff. They can't even have communication a dozen miles off. So it shows you that humanity is losing, they're in a tight spot, and at the exact same time, how are they going to save themselves? And also, we find out that the princess doesn't want to reveal herself because of the assassins might try to kill her. And so right here it shows is that we really don't know how many of these Martians are actually assassins. I mean, all we know is all these different, floating fortresses could be assassins. We don't know. Maybe the entire army has some form of conspiracy against the princess to try to take over Earth. Or maybe even the king of, Mars might be like that too. We don't know how far this conspiracy and this group goes in this series, so it can be pretty much all entirety of the Martian army that wants to kill the princess. So, we really don't know at this moment, but still, what I do want to get at is that this episode really got me, because I just love the mood and atmosphere the series gives off, and that's something that I've really been enjoying about these past 4 episodes, and why I continue to come back to watch this. The music that sets up the mood in these episodes really give it that oomph and that life that we all need and look for probably in an anime. I mean, when you have that freaking badass soundtrack just pop up like, you know the song I'm doing, I'm like, oh my god, it's so good! It sounds so fucking good when you hear that music going on in the background and all that, and you see these freaking, mechs, reloading shit and fighting and all that. I mean, it's just so awesome. It really is. But every time I hear epic music like that, I instantly imagine, someone's gonna fucking die. That's exactly what I imagine when I hear that music, because it sounds like music where you would see, humanity losing, getting fucking destroyed, which it has played for a lot of those scenes, but at the exact same time, it reminds me of certain music you would hear when someone's dying. So, I love this episode. I love this series. It's definitely continuing to retain my hype I had from the first episode, and it's getting better. Truthfully, Aldnoah.Zero deserves its hype. It deserves its popularity at the moment, and it truly is one of the best mech series I have ever seen. One of them. Not the best, but one of them. And remember, I don't watch a lot of mechs. But it definitely is opening up my shell to the mech genre, because this this right here is really cool. I like how they're really just doing the different aspects with the entire world setting, like Heaven's Fall. I want to know more about that. We know that there was another war 15 years ago, but supposedly, you know, they stopped attacking. But the big thing here is, like, how much damage did this Heaven's Fall really do? I mean, we know it was the moon that fell down, but I mean, what the hell? Like, what kind of impact does it really have on the entire planet? I mean, we know what the moon does in our society nowadays. It keeps our planet in orbit. I mean, it controls our tides and shit. So imagine half of the moon being gone, what it did to the Earth. So I can't really even imagine the colossal damage that it caused. Here's the big thing, okay? As we find out in this episode, the Martians want to gain control all of Earth. They want to own it for themselves. That's exactly what they want to do, which is kind of obvious since they're in a war. They want to have that territory. But at the same time, it just shows you the greed of this side, the greed of this war, of how they want more and more. And that is something I'm also liking in this series. Overall, good episode. It's a very good episode, and I enjoyed it, honestly. Like I said, I found it a lot more enjoyable than the last week's episode, and last week's episode was good. Just, overall, this episode really got to me. So anyways, everybody, tell me your thoughts about this episode. What do you feel about all the epic shit that's going down in this episode? What do you feel about humanity losing? What do you think about the princess? Like, do you think the princess is going to reveal herself? And how many people do you think are in this assassination organization that's trying to kill the princess? Do you think it's all of them? And what do you feel about these Mars Knights, for instance, the different abilities these Mars Knights have, especially like lightsabers, some have a fucking shield. Just tell me your thoughts on that also. I love all of you so much. You have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. Please be safe. Chibi out.